You're watching South Asia Newsline, and here are the top stories we are tracking for you on Friday, the 22nd of August. India's Foreign Minister questions logic of US tariffs over Russian oil imports. From wedding dreams to tragedy, young man returns to find family gone. And former Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe arrested over misuse of government funds. And now for all the details. India's Foreign Minister Jaishankar on Thursday said it was perplexing that India was being singled out over Russian oil imports, pointing out that China, not India, is the largest purchaser of Russian crude. Answering queries during a joint press conference with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov in Moscow, Jaishankar said, "We are a country where the Americans have said for the last few years that we should do everything to stabilize the world energy market, including buying oil from Russia. Incidentally, we also buy oil from the US, and that amount has increased. So honestly, we are very perplexed at the logic of the argument." The minister stressed that sustaining energy cooperation with Russia through trade and investment remains important for India. Jaishankar is on a 3-day visit to Moscow, where he co-chaired the 26th session of the India-Russia Intergovernmental Commission on Trade, Economic, Scientific, Technological and Cultural Cooperation and addressed the India-Russia Business Forum. The remarks comes against the backdrop of Washington's decision to impose a 50% tariff on Indian imports announced in July by US President Donald Trump, who cited India's continued purchase of Russian oil. China is willing to cooperate with Pakistan in industry, agriculture and mining. Foreign Minister Wang Yi told Pakistani counterpart Ishaq Dar in Islamabad on Thursday, according to a readout of the meeting released by Wang's ministry. Beijing would continue to support Pakistan in safeguarding its national independence, sovereignty and territorial integrity and combating terrorism, Wang told Dar, adding that China would continue to give priority to Pakistan in its regional diplomacy. Both countries should join hands to safeguard the multilateral trading system and oppose unilateral bullying and upgrade the China-Pakistan economic corridor, he said. Wang, on a 5-day tour of South Asia, has visited India and Afghanistan, mending and consolidating ties with China's neighbors to the south, days before a leaders' summit in China for the Shanghai Cooperation Organization, a 10-nation Eurasian security and political grouping whose members include China, Russia, India, Pakistan and Iran. At a press briefing on Thursday, Wang also welcomed Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif to attend both the summit and activities to mark the formal surrender of Japan at the end of World War II, which will feature a massive military parade in Beijing. During Thursday's meeting with Dar, Wang again urged Pakistan to effectively safeguard the safety of Chinese personnel, projects and organizations in Pakistan. Over the years, China has poured billions of dollars into infrastructure projects in Pakistan under the Belt and Road Initiative. But security concerns have mounted, with Chinese workers repeatedly targeted in what Beijing has called terrorist attacks in the South Asian nation. China appreciates Pakistan's unremitting efforts and great sacrifices made in combating terrorism, Wang said, according to a Chinese ministry statement. What was meant to be a time of joy turned into unimaginable sorrow. A young man flew back to Pakistan for his wedding, found his entire family gone, swept away by flash floods in Buner. His loss is part of a much wider tragedy unfolding across Pakistan's flood-hit regions. We have a report.
When 25-year-old Noor Mohammed returned from Malaysia to his hometown in Pakistan's Buner district, he was met with silence and ruin. 24 members of his family had been swept away in the devastating flash floods that tore through the region. When I came here, there was nothing but rubble and stones. There were no houses, no mother, no brothers, no father, no uncles, nothing, Mohammed said, as mourners gathered at the wreckage of his family home in Kadir Nagar village, Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province.
دلته رالم نور هیڅوم نه و دلته صرف دا ګټې وې کور نه و او مور وروڼه خورانې نور داسې کاکګانې باباجانې تره مې چې رالم هیڅوم نه و دا ګټې ګټې پرتې دي نور هیڅوم نشته دي.
Muhammad had landed in Pakistan just 2 days before his wedding, which was scheduled for Sunday, August 17th. My mother was so happy. She spoke to me for an entire hour after I arrived. She kept saying, "Where are you? Come quickly." But what can I say? It was Allah's will, he recalled, standing on the rubble of the 36-room house built by his grandfather, now reduced to debris. Of the 28 members of his extended family, only 2 children survived. 4 others, including Muhammad's brother and cousin, remain injured.
زما خو اتوار په ورځ باندې واده و جمعې په ورځ زه رالم کور ته راتلم او مور خو مې داسې خوشحاله وه ډېره که نه چې بس والله سره ته ویلی نه شم ډېره زیاته راته خوشحاله زه چې ایرپورټ نه راووتم تقریبا ما ته رینګ وکړو ډېر زیات راڅخه خبرې وکړو پوره ساعت راڅخه خبرې وکړې بس ته کم ځای او زر راځه ښه پوره ساعت راسره لګیا بس څه به ووایم الله به خوښه مونږ ټوله فیملي چې وه 28 وو هغې کې 24 چې هغه شهیدان شوي دي او 2 ماشومان پاتې هغه پرون وموندو او 4 چې دي هغه زخمیان دي یو مې ورور دی یو مې تره زوی دی یو مې کاکي ده یو بله کچه ماشومه ده هغه چې مردان هسپتال کمپلیکس کې دي او تره زوی مې راوړی کور ته ښه دی شکر ده.
Across Pakistan, the disaster continues to unfold. Authorities said Tuesday, August 19th, that the death toll from the past 5 days had risen to 365, with 695 lives lost nationwide since late June. The Army and Air Force have joined rescue and relief efforts, and more than 25,000 people have been evacuated from flood-hit areas. Pakistan is increasingly vulnerable to such climate-related disasters, with recent monsoon rains and glacial melts causing significant damage across the country.
Amid signs of renewed collaboration between Dhaka and Islamabad, Pakistan's Commerce Minister Jam Kamal arrived in Bangladesh on Wednesday for a 4-day visit aimed at boosting trade and economic cooperation. During his stay, Kamal will meet senior officials and leading business representatives, with discussions expected to explore new areas of trade and investment. Officials said 4 memorandums of understanding are likely to be signed. The visit comes just days before Pakistan's Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar is scheduled to travel to Dhaka. Bangladesh, which gained independence from Pakistan in 1971, has historically had strained relations with Islamabad over past grievances. However, in recent months, bilateral engagement has picked up under Chief Advisor Muhammad Yunus's interim government. Yunus has already held multiple meetings with Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif. Despite the thaw, Dhaka has maintained that Islamabad must formally apologize for the atrocities committed by the Pakistani army during the 1971 Liberation War. Former Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe was arrested on Friday on allegations of misusing government funds, making him the first head of state in the island nation to be taken into custody after leaving office. Wickremesinghe was detained after arriving at the Financial Crimes Investigation Division to record a statement. According to local media, investigators questioned him about a September 2023 visit to London, where he attended a ceremony at a British university for his wife, Maithri, while serving as president. He has maintained that no state funds were used for his wife's travel. However, the Criminal Investigation Department alleged that government money was spent on the private visit, including covering the expenses of his bodyguards. Officials said Wickremesinghe will be produced before the Colombo Fort Magistrate. Wickremesinghe became president in July 2022 after Gotabaya Rajapaksa stepped down amid mass protests over corruption and economic mismanagement, while previous leaders, including Rajapaksa and Maithripala Sirisena, have faced questioning over their conduct in office. None had been arrested until now. Colorful processions, rhythmic beats, and the offerings of faith. This was a scene in Nepal as devotees celebrated the annual Panchadan festival, also called the Festival of Five Summer Gifts. It reflects a tradition of giving that has carried forward for centuries. Take a look.
The Dipankar Buddhas in Nepal celebrated the Festival of Five Summer Gifts, also called Panchadan, by parading through the narrow alleys and dancing to the beats of traditional musical instruments on Wednesday. This festival is celebrated annually on Triadashi, according to the lunar calendar, where the laity, ordinary people, make offerings to the monks. But with monastic Buddhism long extinct in Nepal, the offerings now go to Buddhist priests, the Sakyas and Vajracharyas, who go door to receive gifts from their patrons.
पञ्चदान भनेर चाहिँ यो जुन पञ्चबुद्ध चाहिँ आजको दिनमा घुमाएर चाहिँ ठाउँ ठाउँमा भक्तपुर होलमा घुमाएर यहाँको भक्तहरूले चाहिँ जुन बुद्धलाई जुन यो दीपंकर तथागत भनेर उहाँलाई पञ्चदान दिने हो हुन त हैन अनि उहाँ सँगसँगै चाहिँ शाक्य मुनिबाट चाहिँ पहिला हाम्रो लुम्बिनीमा शाक्य मुनि हुनुहुन्थ्यो नि उहाँबाट चाहिँ अब शाक्य वंशहरुको चाहिँ अब शाक्य वंश सँगसँगै वज्राचार्य पनि आउँछ उहाँहरुलाई पनि पञ्चदान दिने चाहिँ चलन चल्ती चाहिँ चल्दै आएको हो.
The essence of the festival is the giving away of 5 elements: wheat grains, rice grains, salt, money, and fruit. Homes and monasteries display traditional Buddhist artifacts, while grand idols of Dipankar Buddhas are paraded through towns as people gather to worship and make donations. According to legend, Panchadan has been celebrated since Nepal's Sambat 512. Over the centuries, the festival has evolved, but its essence remains the same, reinforcing the deep-rooted Buddhist heritage of the Newar community.
पुरानो परम्परा दान दिएपछि धर्म लाग्छ नि अरूलाई दान दिएपछि आफ्नो भएको क्षमता अनुसार कस्तो क्षमता हो दान दिएपछि धर्म लाग्छ नि.
With a history that spans centuries, the festival has continued to evolve, incorporating new practices over time. Yet, at its core, Panchadan remains a celebration of giving, a tradition that projects and preserves the strong Buddhist heritage of the Newar community.
That's all in tonight's edition. We will see you same time next week. Have a great weekend. Good night.